I think that's what's most impressive to me about Bitcoin is learning about the second order effects of an open monetary network. I mean, Bitcoin is a digital monetary asset on an open permissionless network. And because it's decentralized and no company and no country owns it, it's really a thing for the world. So I don't think there's any other asset that I can think of where every intelligent person that understands it decides to start doing everything they can to make it more valuable. And that's a subtlety. If we had bought 1 million acres of land in Texas, I wouldn't have computer programmers in Singapore trying to figure out how to drive up the value of my land in Texas. And if we had bought $1 billion worth of Apple stock, I wouldn't have people in China and Russia and Europe and South America figuring out how to harness the power of volcanoes in order to drive up the value of my Apple stock. I wouldn't have the mayor of Miami, the governor of Texas, a president of El Salvador. You wouldn't have big tech companies trying to figure out how to, drive up the value of that asset. So unlike gold or bonds or equity or real estate, this is truly a global open phenomena. Anybody can participate in it. If you have money, you can bring the money to bear to drive up the value of the asset by buying it. If you have technology like Square or PayPal, you can bring the technology to bear by integrating Bitcoin into your technology, helping yourself and the asset. If you're a trader, you can short the future, buy the spot, lock up the asset, drive up the price of the asset. And you can do that anywhere in the world. So everybody that has any gift or any ambition looking to do something good for their own company and to build a better world, I think as soon as they see Bitcoin, this light bulb goes off and they realize, wait a minute, this is maybe the greatest opportunity of my lifetime. And I knew it was. When we bought it a year ago, we bought it as digital gold. And we thought, well, this is a better gold than gold. And I've waxed philosophic about that many times. But I think that the thing that came in the next 12 months is not just digital gold, it's digital gold on an open monetary network, which means that hundreds of millions of people are going to be thinking really hard about how they enhance the value of that gold. And because you can program it, and because you can upgrade it, and because you can integrate it into an insurance company or an exchange or a mobile app or a device or a government or a corporation or an insurance policy, that means that you've just got every intelligent, progressive person on earth that understands it, figuring out how to upgrade it. I don't think you can say that about anything else on this earth. The way I thought about domain names on the .com is you have a chance for the first time in human history to own an English word. So I bought my name, Michael, because now everybody on the planet that could spell Michael could type michael.com into a search engine and come to me. And then I thought I might as well buy my nickname. So I bought Mike if they were short. And then I thought, well, I guess I could buy wisdom and strategy and hope. And so I did that because I figured that wisdom had a positive connotation in the English language for 500 years or 1,000. And it would have a pretty good connotation for the next 1,000 years. And so domain names were about owning a word and whispering it into cyberspace. And when you whisper the word voice, then you jump over 8 billion other choices and you own voice. And I was able to sell voice, just that naked domain name, for $30 million. I didn't want to sell it for 30 million. I thought I wanted it was worth billions and billions, but I sold it for 30 million because I wanted to set a comp, and that was the highest price anybody had ever paid for a naked domain name in history. And it's kind of simple. It's like you own the word voice in the English language. What does that mean? Well, I think the analogy with Bitcoin is the greatest city in cyberspace, constructed of 21 million blocks of encrypted energy. So it's Manhattan in cyberspace. One day, billions and billions of people want to live there. You want to develop the 21st century economy on that digital property. And once you bought one Bitcoin, you bought 1/21 millionth. You got one block in Cyber Manhattan, maybe for all of eternity. There's no reason why Bitcoin can't go on for 1,000 years. They'll keep upgrading the nodes and upgrading the software and upgrading the hardware. But the idea is pretty much who owns the 21 million blocks of Cyber Manhattan. And owning Cyber Manhattan is actually more valuable than owning Manhattan, because if you bought up all Manhattan, every block around Central Park, that would have been pretty valuable because that was the greatest city in America. But there was Paris and Tokyo, and there was London, and there was Beijing, and they all had something to recommend them if you were Chinese or Japanese or French or British. On the other hand, when you're buying Bitcoinville or Cyber Manhattan, everybody wants to own a block in the greatest city in cyberspace. Doesn't matter where you live, doesn't matter what language you speak, it doesn't matter what culture you come out of. No one is prohibited. And so why wouldn't you want to own Central Park in the greatest property on earth? Especially because, Brian, you need that property as the granite upon which to build the banks, the insurance companies, the exchanges, and the retailers in cyberspace in the 21st century. So when you own $1 billion of Bitcoin, you can move it at the speed of light on the Lightning Network. You can program it with 1 million transactions a second. You can have 100 million computers speaking to each other every day. And the velocity on that money is something that is just, never seen before. We can't move gold around that fast. You can't move $1 billion with Apple stock around that fast. You can't program it. So Bitcoin represents the critical property to build the new age economy, and it's the dominant network, and you get to show up 100 years before everybody else understands that, of course, this is the thing. I think Bitcoin is the most disruptive technology in the decade. It's the single most exciting thing going on in the world right now. And so everyone in the world is being asked about it. And in order to understand it at a basic level, you need 10 hours. To understand it moderately, you need 100 hours. To understand it decently, you need 1,000 hours. And to really master it, you need 10,000 hours. So in that period, I would say that Bitcoin became an institutional phenomenon following March of 2020. So we're like in year one. You could even say year zero was March of 2020. And then after February 8th of 2021, when Tesla announced that they're putting Bitcoin on their balance sheet, it kind of broke into mainstream. So we're in the first year where every mainstream politician, every mainstream journalist, every mainstream business person is being asked what they think about Bitcoin. The CEO of General Motors, right? Every banking head, every investor. And if it takes you 1,000 hours to really get it and 10,000 hours to master it, but everybody in the world is forced to take a position on it with less than 1 hour or 2 or 3 hours of knowledge, then you're going to get a wide variety of reactions. And the two most common ones are, well, it sounds so perfect, I guess some politician will ban it. Well, that's an interesting reaction. It sounds so perfect that someone might not like it. And the other reaction is, I hear it uses a lot of energy. Well, because there's nothing else negative to be said about it. I mean, literally, it's a perfectly engineered monetary system for the first time in 5,000 years.